Good evening. Welcome to Live United. Live United is an opportunity for us to share how people are addressing the needs of the Monadnock region population and also our friends over in Windham County, Vermont. And as you know, we have many bordering towns, so services across the Monadnock region and in Windham County oftentimes meet the needs of people living on both sides of the river. And today we're fortunate to have with us Mary Fredette. Mary joins us from the Gathering Place located in Brattleboro, Vermont. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you.
We hopefully have all weathered the storm here well, and so we're thankful that you've come over and are willing to share some of the good work that's going on at the Gathering Place. And what a neat program. I have a friend who goes there and she can't say enough about it. So tell us a little bit about how the Gathering Place started.
The Gathering Place in 2 weeks will be 26 years old. And we have, it was a AAA program to begin with, an Area Agency on Aging program. And in 1993, it spun off into its own organization. Started with 6 families, and today we serve about 110 annually across our service base.
Wow. So that's meeting the need of a large population. Is it a particular age range that you're serving?
We serve seniors and adults with disabilities. Currently in the program, we have folks as young as 29 and as old as 100. So it's a broad span of age groups. With each month enrollment, the programming changes and adjusts based on the participant group. So it's a free-flowing model that promotes wellness.
Wow. I'm sorry, but I think the air is a little dry in here, probably because of the weather. So tell me a little bit about, you serve this broad range of population. What are the types of services being provided?
We provide medical oversight. We have 2 full-time nurses on staff and 2 part-time, and then some backup occasional staff. Right now we have about 14 or 15 full and part-time staff that work in the center to care for our folks. A lot of them are licensed nursing assistants. We have an activity coordinator who manages the adult day program, and then a variety of other staff, folks that do enrollments and provide support. We have a number of volunteers that we're very fortunate to have them come and share their skills.
Now, tell me a little bit more about why you would have medical nursing staff on as part of your staffing.
Yeah. The face of Adult Day has really changed over the last 10 years and moved from what was a social model into a medical model. Our folks have varying needs. About 60% of them have some cognitive deficit and require supervision. Probably at this point, the smaller percentage of folks that were isolated and in need of just socialization are with us as well. But that group is getting smaller. People, the average age in Adult Day is 72 to 74. So they come to us with typically 3 or 4 chronic diseases and looking for oversight. We provide a good deal of case management and coordination of care with other entities. We make referrals in and out. We're fortunate in Vermont that we have a rather broad transportation system. So not only are folks transported in and out of Adult Day, we also coordinate transportation to and from medical appointments on the days they attend.
Wow, so really meeting their health, their wellness needs in terms of social connections, it sounds like,
Yes.
as well as their medical and making sure that they're getting to their doctors and being taken care of, but also having that special attention they may need right within the gathering place.
That's right.
Tell me a story about a client that you might have.
The stories are endless.
I bet they are.
Probably there's two that we talk a lot about. One is a participant who's been with us for 21 of our 26 years, been through 3 cancer surgeries, some chronic condition catastrophes, and always come back to the gathering place as her home away from home. And the motivating factor for her to get through rehab and to get home, all of those times that she was, quite ill. We have a participant who has 3 forms of cerebral palsy, who has only the use of communicates through a headset, paints through a headset, and has been with us for 7 years successfully. And we provide personal care. We also provide nutritious meals at lunchtime. For many, it's their main meal. Continental breakfast in the morning, and then a snack before they go home to make sure that they receive adequate nutrition. Probably about 40% of the folks on any given day require assistance with eating and or are in need of queuing.
Now, when someone comes to the center, can they come for an hour a day? Do they come for the full day? Do they come for a week?
We encourage folks to attend at least 2 hours so that they really get a sense of what the opportunities are at the gathering place, and also it helps them to grow accustomed and to meet new folks. From a socialization perspective, a lot of people that come to the gathering place have lost their social network, and they get to regain that by attending. But we are both a short and a long-term model. Traditionally, adult day has been viewed as a long-term option, but it's also a good short-term option for people who may be deconditioned after the flu, or might have been hospitalized and for 5 or 6 days, and family needs to return to work, and it's difficult for them to work and care for that person short term. So we do have people that come in and stay for a week or 2, and then transition out. And we hope that they'll remember us if they're ever in need of long-term care services.
So there's an element of respite for families, perhaps. Yes. There's also certainly ongoing social connections, social networking, opportunities to really engage in some amazing activities, and I'm going to have you talk about some of the activities in a minute here. But also receiving nutritious meals, the medical care they need. So let's talk about these activities, because that's part of what has been fun to watch. And after we talk about them a little bit, we're going to bring up some pictures. But if you could tell us a little bit about some of the activities that people are involved in.
Our activities are focused on a wellness model. So we're encouraging folks to stay active as they can, and finding activities that are engaging. So for most of the participants at the gathering place, they love parachute ball. It's one of their favorites. We play volleyball, we bowl, we play ladder ball and toss the bean bag. We dance. We do a lot of music therapy. Right now we're in the midst of a 6-week puppet project with an expressive arts therapist. And the culmination of the 6-week project will be that participants create their own puppets and provide a show. We do other expressive arts with specifically folks with developmental disabilities and folks that are having challenges with memory loss and dementia. Tai Chi is a great opportunity and very calming for folks. Other forms of music therapy and the arts. Watercolors, oils, sequencing, crafts, arts and crafts are all calming. And it's interesting to see that we had one individual who had never picked up a paintbrush, and at 81 became an accomplished artist. So it's really rewarding, and it allows them to express themselves even if they can't tell you verbally what they're feeling.
And I want to highlight that a little bit, because I think people oftentimes look at the social connection piece and these activities as really not having impact on the person or having changing anything. And I think we forget that it's not just about, it's about self-esteem. It's certainly a big part of it. But there's a lot more to it. You know, there's skill development going on. There's knowledge that's being gained. There's oftentimes you're changing the whole circumstance for that individual. And their outlook on life and their relationship within their families and with other people. So what do you see as some of the impacts of the, you know, we talk about these being therapeutic programs, and some are non-therapeutic and have impact. What do you see as the outcomes to some of this work that goes on?
A really wonderful story is we have a participant that's actually from New Hampshire that has been attending the Gathering Place for 3 or 4 years. Mom is aging, and the participant is aging. When they joined the Gathering Place, they were challenged with this individual's ability to express needs. And within the 3 years that they've been attending, they're now able to express some very sometimes complex thoughts about what they need now. So it's wonderful to see that and know that it's an achievable goal for folks.
You know, I have a friend who always says that, you know, fun has to be an element of whatever work we do, because you know, sometimes he calls it functional understanding isn't always necessary. That, you know, that element of fun can help us really grow as individuals. And that's where that social connection and those activities come in, and really then having that therapeutic and that medical element for people makes a huge difference. And I'm guessing that you probably have some clients that have dementia, maybe Alzheimer's, and you know, it shows that by having those connections, that they're able to oftentimes remain at home, having that respite, that it's actually a reduction in costs for the, you know, for the consumers out there, the taxpayers, because we are able to keep people in their homes longer than they may have been able to stay.
That's right. That's right.
And I want to flip to some pictures, because we're just talking about some of the activities you're involved in. So we're going to move to some pictures that you brought along with you. And if you can describe to us a little bit about what you're seeing, or what we're seeing here as an audience.
We dance and love to dance. The participants they love music, And this is a great shot of one of our most accomplished dancers.
Looks like a little ballroom dancing there, maybe.
We do. This is one of our accomplished artists who actually paints with a headset and does these, she's doing commissioned work currently to raise money for the Gathering Place, which is phenomenal.
And I'm very aware of her work. And you may not know this, but we went to high school together.
Oh, how
that artist
wonderful.
and I, in Brattleboro, and she's just a wonderful young woman, and she has been working so hard. If I would say to any of you out there that if you want to commission a wonderful artist, you saw a piece of her work there. And she is doing a fundraiser,
Yes.
and I know she can be reached over Facebook or by going through the Gathering Place
Yes.
website. So I encourage you, and we're going to talk about why you're having to do a fundraiser here in a minute. So we can move on.
This is a really good shot to give you an example of the variety of activities that happen at any given time at the Gathering Place. The last three shots, including this one, were all activities happening within the same space, but in different areas. We encourage folks to share with us what their passions are and what they like to do. And this young woman loves to make clothing and hand bead it.
Wow. That's quite an art and
Yes.
task.
This is one of our participants who also loves art and is very active with the Gathering Place. She typically, if we're having an open house or an event, she's our greeter and has just a wonderful skills to offer and takes part in most of the things that we offer.
She looks like a happy, energetic
She's
person.
very happy, big smiles. This is June, and June has been with us for 21 years. And loves painting and crafts, and rides over the mountain every day to get to us. So that in of itself.
That speaks volumes, because she must really feel like it's, I think you mentioned the word coming home.
Yes, yes. This is an exercise group. We do exercises twice a day. Some of them sitting, some of them standing, depending on the group. And in this particular shot, there are a variety of different levels of functioning. And it's interesting to see that during the whole exercise group, folks that are often sedentary and maybe nonverbal actively participate, and we find the same thing with music therapy.
Now, in the music therapy, looks like we have some garden
We have-
therapy going on
Yes,
here too.
we have active gardeners, and we grow tomatoes and cucumbers and lettuce and make our own salads in the summer. And last year we added some raised beds on the deck, so folks in wheelchairs could easily roll up to them and do gardening.
So they're learning gardening skills, and they also are utilizing what they produce, it sounds like.
Yes, and there's something comforting about getting your hands into the earth, and there's the texture thing for folks that need some fine motor skill stuff. This is our building. We have that beautiful deck on the front that we take advantage of during the warmer weather.
Can you tell our audience where you're located?
Yes, we're located at 30 Terrace Street in Brattleboro. It's very close to downtown. It is also on the community bus run. So for some folks that come across the river in the morning from Chesterfield, Hinsdale, Spofford regions, and work in Brattleboro, we are actually able to transport their loved ones to their workplace so that they're there and ready for them when their workday ends and they don't have to come back to the gathering place.
So how would somebody access your service?
Just by calling or going on the website and filling out a questionnaire form. But anybody can refer in. There's a variety of payment options for services. So I would encourage folks that are looking for socialization, our family members that are looking for respite or care while they continue to work, that Adult Day is really a great option for those folks.
And I know you partner with some of the adult day centers over here on
Yes.
the Monadnock side as well as serving folks from our region whose family members perhaps work in the Brattleboro area, or
Yes.
for the Hinsdale and Chesterfield folks, sometimes it's just closer, it's easier access.
Yes.
And I'm guessing, is insurance something that people can utilize at all for
Yes.
the service?
New Hampshire and Vermont Medicaid, and there's, as some viewers might know, there's a variety of programs under both New Hampshire and Vermont Medicaid. So really worth exploring. Long-term care insurance pays for Adult Day under most plans. We also offer a sliding fee scale option for folks that don't meet financial eligibility for Medicaid services. And then there's full fee options.
So people can reach out to you by calling or going on
Yes.
your website. Can you give folks your phone number and your address?
Yes. Our phone number is 802-254-6559. And you can ask for someone in enrollment. And our email is info@gatheringplace, V as in Victor, T as in Tom.org. Or you can log on to our website at gatheringplacevt.org and fill out a very short form requesting more information.
So lots of ways to access the service. Also want to remind our audience that you can always call 211. And
Yes.
211 if you're just lost in terms of remembering about this show, but know you need this kind of service in Vermont, in Windham County area, that you can call 211 and request that service, or you can call the United Way. So, feel free to, if you can't remember those phone numbers, to call 211. So I mentioned, before I jump into what's happened at your building, because we have
Yes.
some things going on there, we talked about a couple of the therapy programs, and you started to talk about music therapy.
Yes.
And I'm curious what you do in the music therapy program.
Music therapy is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for especially folks with cognitive deficits. There's certain stages of dementia or Alzheimer's disease where folks often become aphasic or unable to speak. And there's been numerous studies done regarding the benefits of music therapy and the fact that it will often release them. They feel free. Listening to music that's familiar to them, for our age group 70 to 80 years old, it's probably music from the 40s or 50s. And, folks may not have spoken for months, and you subject them to the music, and all of a sudden they're singing along because it's something that they remember clearly.
It's interesting. My daughter's in college and studying neuroscience, so I'm
Ooh,
always
how wonderful.
I'm always reading a lot about the brain right now and what happens with it. The reason I asked about music is because there's so much research being done around that right now and the impact it has on the pathways within the brain.
Yes.
And when we think of our folks who may be experiencing dementia or Alzheimer's or early onset of that, it does open up those pathways
Yes.
and allows them to continue to keep them open and using them. And can lead lots of times to the development of other new pathways for them.
Yes.
So it's very, very interesting what can go on with that. And it's amazing that we have these kinds of local services that
Yes.
can really provide this and be a part of people's lives in the way you can. I want to talk a little bit about what's happened over your building because you're in a little bit of a crisis situation right now.
Yes, we 2 weeks ago lost about a third of our building to water damage. One of the larger activity rooms that you saw in the photographs, and a good deal of the second floor space. So we are in the process of a fundraising campaign to help us put the building back together. We do have insurance coverage, but we know that there's going to be some gaps between what they pay and the unknowns that you find in an older building when you tear it apart.
And I'm going to have our Dave pull the pictures back up here again in Aspen, who are behind the cameras for us today. I'm going to have them pull up some pictures because I want people to see this building in the interior of the building. And you said a third of it's been impacted.
Yes, and this is one of the rooms that we do not currently have use of. The water damage took out about 60% of the floors on the first floor. We are very blessed that it left us with the other large room, our kitchen, our personal care areas, and our showers, so that we're able to continue operations throughout the renovations.
I know from the woman who's doing the commissioned artwork, and she's doing it as a fundraiser to
Yes.
help with the renovations in the building. And I know she said that everything's sort of been moved into one room, all the therapeutic activities,
Yes.
the meals, and everything. So I imagine that's a little challenging, especially when you have a large group there. And I'm
Yes.
guessing on days where we have storms like what have been experiencing the last few days, that you probably see a rise in the number of people wanting to come in following that.
Yes, before and after we see increases. When it's really cold, people tend to stay in because it's, the cold that we've been having is a chill to the bone kind of cold. But our census, it's very interesting. Our census has remained stable into the winter, which is typically a time when census drops off. So we're still seeing about 30 people a day, and we're using one room on the second floor, and we have a wonderful elevator. And with the room on the first floor, we're able to accommodate up to about 33. So for now, we're okay.
Yeah, although you're probably bordering on capacity, at least
We
in
are.
that bottom room.
We are.
And I imagine it's a little more challenging to get everyone upstairs if you need to get them
Yes.
upstairs. So you have some fundraisers going on. Is there anything that is coming up soon that people can participate in? Is there a way for them to donate or
Yes.
somehow support you? And do you need new items or volunteers?
Yes. We're always welcoming volunteers to either share their skills or to help us just do one-on-one with the participants, which they love. We have had volunteers offer to do sheetrocking in our, to help us get back up to speed. And of course, we're raising money to repair the building, but we're also raising money to expand the capacity of the second floor, so that we can do some real separation of programming, and be able to have 4 or 5 activities operating on the second floor at the same time there's 4 or 5 on the first. We are in need of, item-wise, televisions. Our television was destroyed. 2 of our electric recliners are questionable. And then there's small stuff, some of the art supplies, puzzles, games. Once they're wet, we can't use them again. So we've raised about 65% of the money necessary to expand the second floor. So our goal, what's left on our goal is about $30,000. So we're very close.
That's wonderful news, because it is challenging times to raise
Yes.
money, as we all know, and there's a lot going on out there. But when people give, they're giving to some amazing work that's going on,
Yes.
and I want to remind them of that. And certainly opportunities, if you can't give, to volunteer,
Yes.
to give your time, to give your energy, to whether it's to the renovations, if you have skills in that area, or as a volunteer, we're actually working one-on-one with some of the folks there. It also
Yes.
sounds like people can give, you're looking for a TV, I'm hearing?
Yes.
Puzzles, games,
Yes.
recliners, and it sounds like are the electric recliners the
Yes.
best for your population?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so, keep that in mind, public, if you're moving, you're cleaning house, and I think we all end up with puzzles after Christmas, it seems
Yes.
like. But, it sounds like there's a great home potentially for those. I am curious, the show's about Living United, and we talk about giving and volunteering, but we also talk about advocacy.
Yes.
And when I think of the population that you're serving, I'm wondering whether you're involved in any kind of advocacy or whether they are.
Yes, they are, and we are. I am president of the Vermont Adult Day Association, and we do volumes of advocacy and work very closely with other groups serving like populations, and groups serving broader populations like the hospitals, ambulatory care, long-term care settings, to provide for the vast needs and the ever-changing needs of our folks. And, when I think about, the health, income, and education, I also think about Adult Day. One of the things that we're working on is a potential satellite in Deerfield Valley. We were requested by the community to explore it as part of the creation of a livable community model. So, when we think about models such as that, and you're very fortunate on this side of the river that Monadnock at Home is already up and running. But those models are real seeds for economic development and creation of the support services that allow folks who are probably at the height of their career and the most skilled and experienced to continue working knowing that their family members are well cared for.
Can you talk a little bit about that model? Because
Sure.
there may be folks out there that are really not familiar with this. We do
Sure.
find that on this show, a lot of our viewers are actually people who do not know everything that's out there, and they're curious
Yes.
about the services.
A livable community model really focuses on all of the needs in a community. So, one of the first steps in creating that kind of model is an evaluation of the streets and the sidewalks to make sure that folks are safe and able to get to the services that they need, whether it be a restaurant or an adult day program, that there's a safe place to walk. From that, community service providers typically come together and share what's available, what they have capacity to do, what's lacking, and how do we fill those gaps, which creates a number of seeds for economic development. In one of the forums that we held early on, at the end, there was a woman who held up her hand and asked who she could call to screw in a light bulb. It's a great question, and it's indicative of, some gaps. So, we know that alongside Adult Day, that a chore service is something that we need to create very early on, and something that the Gathering Place actually started about 18 months ago.
It's interesting when you talk about those gaps. That's a great example that lots of times people can't accomplish those little tasks or chores that they need to do, and sometimes need assistance with those. We just worked on a project over here with 10 different service providers, and one of the gaps we identified was that we're addressing the needs of folks through getting them food. Yes. And things through the food pantries, for example, or we're providing housing stability or shelter to them, but they didn't have cookware to prepare the food. And it's interesting when you think about it. If they're living in a hotel environment or they're perhaps in a shelter, they just don't have the utensils to actually put the food that they may be receiving together. So we've built it into a grant proposal actually right now to be able to distribute food, but also provide the cookware, that people need to actually prepare the food.
And that's very true. In the last 2 years, we have probably had at least 4 participants and at least 1 staff experience homelessness. So, I think, that's a great project because we seldom think about how close we are to the edge. And, especially when it's somebody who's already fragile and vulnerable, to have them have to move from what potentially was their home into a motel or a hotel.
Yeah, it's interesting because we address sort of the big gaps.
Yes.
We're looking at we have all these wonderful programs, but there's little pieces sometimes missing. And, in your case, you need puzzles.
Yeah.
It's like that little piece of puzzle that's missing right now.
Yes.
Any thoughts about what else you want people to really know about the Gathering Place?
I would encourage everyone who hasn't been to the Gathering Place to please come and visit. I think that you'll be surprised by what you see and what you hear. Pretty much walking through the door is walking into a sea of happy, smiling faces, with a lot of activity going on. And if you don't have time to visit, please visit our website. And again, that's gatheringplacevt.org. There's lots of information available there. Or call us at 802-254-6559. The other option that I think is important is if it's inconvenient or if folks are unable to get to the Gathering Place, we can come and talk to them at home about our services and then make arrangements for transportation on a day that's convenient for them to visit.
That's amazing. That in and of itself is such a great service because lots of times people feel homebound
Yes.
and aren't sure how do I really access that service because I just don't have a way to get there and get out. So you can provide that, just
Yes.
fabulous. Meeting the needs of one of our probably underserved populations in some ways. So just a wonderful, wonderful program going on and working also with folks here on this side, providing some of those services and,
Yes.
excuse me, really looking at how you can collaborate. It sounds like you also, in talking with you before the show, you're sharing some of the best practices that
Yes.
you know, each can undertake. You've got, do you have any upcoming events that you'd like to see people attending at all?
We have 2 events that happen every year. The one that's coming up in June is at the Strolling of the Heifers.
And I think we might have a picture of that, if we can flash to that, because I think you're
Yes.
pretty actively involved with that,
Yes.
so I'll let you.
We are actively involved. We do a float, and what you see in this photo is a combination of staff and participants. We have folks in wheelchairs that march alongside the float. You can see one of our volunteer entertainers standing at the front, who is a regular at the gathering place. And we do, our fundraiser is called Cow Plot Bingo, and it's through a partnership with a couple of local farms. We set up our grassy spot in front of the gathering place, and they donate the cow, and it's great fun, just great fun.
So it sounds like a fun fundraiser.
Yes.
And it sounds like you could win.
You can win, yes. It depends on how people can choose their numbers, and it depends on how many people are on the same number, how many times the pot is split. The first year, actually, Steve Gordon from the hospital won, and he donated the funds back to the gathering place. Last year, we had a 3-way split. Some folks donated it back, and some walked away with a nice check and a happy smile.
Oh, very nice event.
But it helps us to raise awareness. It's more about folks knowing about the gathering place and what we do when we do events. Raising funds is nice, but we really are more interested in raising awareness. Our second event is generally the first Sunday in September is Grandparents' Day, and we celebrate that with pancake breakfast. This year it will be a partnership between the Gathering Place and the Brattleboro Lions Club, who will help us put on the event.
Very nice.
Yes.
And is that held right at the Gathering Place?
Yes, it is.
So people looking for a good breakfast that first weekend in September,
Yes.
which is, oftentimes Labor Day weekend there. And it's right in between when everybody's going back to school or has just gone back to school and has a long weekend.
Yes.
Sounds like it could be a great family event to attend. And we certainly know the Strolling of the Heifers, big event in Brattleboro, lots
Yes.
of fun going on, and encourage people to make sure they stop by your cow bingo
Yes.
plop contest.
Yes. And we sell tickets online for both events, so folks are welcome to either stop by the Gathering Place and purchase tickets or to go online.
So if you're feeling lucky maybe during this winter season, can they even purchase now, or do tickets go on sale?
Certainly.
They can. Well, if you have that
They can
lucky
purchase-
number, you may want to get in on it early.
Yes, they can purchase anytime.
Super, super. And it sounds like, again, want to bring your attention, audience, to the needs that the Gathering Place has immediately for your donations to repair and renovate the building as it's received water damage, to also think about donating items that people can use there, whether it be puzzles or games. I saw Barbies in one picture.
Yes.
Certainly, again, if you're cleaning out, sounds like you're in real need for a TV and some electric recliners. An opportunity to give in multiple ways, and always remember that you can volunteer. And certainly play a role in being an advocate for both your family members or your neighbors and helping them access a service such as this.
Yes.
Any last thoughts, Mary, for our audience?
I just encourage everybody to, whether it's, the Gathering Place or the Castle Center, explore the opportunities available in Adult Day for respite and, medical oversight. They're wonderful programs.
And for therapeutic activities,
Yes.
As well as just some fun and connecting with people.
I
I mentioned earlier, that's sometimes just as important as the medical and therapeutic, because you take care of the spiritual self, you take care of the whole body.
I will leave you with one quick story. We have an expressive arts therapist that comes and does an activity called Word Soup. And in the first group, there was probably about 10 folks, and varying levels of memory loss and ability to communicate. By the close of the hour, they had each chosen a sign. So either a bunny or a heart or wings. And it was so moving. By the end of the hour, every one of them was able to remember 3 names by motion.
Great.
It was just incredible.
It is, and that's a wonderful note for us to leave you on. I want to thank you, Mary, for joining us and sharing what wonderful work is going on over at the Gathering Place. I also want to remind you, audience, that you have an opportunity to give, to volunteer, to be an advocate, whether it's for the Gathering Place or any other services that are meeting the needs of both the Monadnock region, Windham County, even Franklin County across the border. We share in all of our services. We share in meeting those needs of our citizens and our friends and our family and our neighbors. So we invite you to be a part of that. We encourage you to join in and to give, to volunteer, to advocate, to remember to live united. Thanks for joining us.